Queridas, queridos, welcome back to the BEAM&Flow podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Cofresi. I am a body-led transformation coach, and I help you heal yourself through detoxing your body, unwinding your nervous system, and creating a life that feels like summer camp. And the way that we do that is through your body, energy, awareness, movement, and flow. Your beam and flow, if you will. And I am so excited to welcome you back to season 10 of the podcast. I cannot even believe that it's season 10. So if you are brand new, this is not 10 years of the podcast. It's been about 2 years, 2.5 years, but this is season 10, and the way that the podcast works is that every season, so every solstice and equinox, we release 4 new episodes every season, and every once in a while there's a bonus. So this season, I am so excited to be back. We sort of skipped the spring season this year because I was deep in process work and allowing life to happen. And so I'm really grateful for the space to do that, and I am back and so excited to share all of the lessons that I have learned, and I get to share them with some friends this season. I'm really excited to introduce you to them. So this season is very special. Every episode I will be interviewing a different co-guide from the Rooted Summit, which is an online virtual healing summit that I am co-producing with 4 other amazing guides and practitioners, and our wonderful moderator, Brig. And so this Rooted online summit is being released on June 22nd. All of the workshops are pre-recorded, and you will have access to all of them on June 22nd. Once you register, you'll get access on June 22nd, and you will have access for life. And I'm going to leave it there because you're going to hear from these amazing guests, and I know you're going to want to sign up. And I'm so excited because you get to do it for free and then have it to work with whenever it works for your schedule. You don't have to show up for anything. It's not anything that you have to be present for at a specific time. It is completely customizable for you. And so without further ado, I would love to welcome our first guest this season, Erica Long. I am so glad to be here with my friend Erica. So before we even get started, let me introduce a little bit about why you have this beautiful image behind you and why we're talking. Erica and I are guides in a free virtual summit that is happening on June 22nd, which, by the way, is when this podcast is being released. So kind of kismet there, like that. As viewers and listeners of the podcast know, we try to time our seasons with the solstices and equinoxes. So we have our summer solstice here coming into fruition, and it's my favorite day of the year. There's the most sunshine that we're going to have all year long, and it just makes me feel so full of life. So to be able to come together with friends of mine and create an online summit that's free and powerful that people get to experience, that is releasing on the summer solstice, is like, I'm so happy. So what is the summit? Who is Erica? Why are we talking? All of these are wonderful questions. The Rooted Summit began as, honestly, a group of, so let me back up. Erica and I know each other because we are in a wealth and investing mastermind community called the Level Up Collective. And within that community, there is a subgroup called the Aligned Entrepreneur Academy, which Erica and I are both in. And we get to really build each other up and help everyone in this little community get their businesses off the ground to really start making tangible change in the world. And having tangible change in our pockets. Let's not forget about that. But we want to do that in a really aligned, soulful, intentional way. And so within that Aligned Entrepreneur Academy subgroup, a few of us were like, hey, do we want to maybe meet every week and like really dig in on this whole entrepreneurial journey? And we did. And out of that group, one day there was just this idea of like, hey, we're all doing really cool things. Let's start posting about each other's work. Like, what could we do? And that kind of organically turned into my producer brain going off. And I think, Erica, it might have been you and I who's kind of said it at the same time. We were like, this should be a summit. Like, I think this is a summit. And then all of a sudden it was. And we've really been spending about 6 months since December or January putting this together. And so that's kind of the background for this whole season of the podcast, but this interview specifically with Erica, is I wanted to interview each of the guides that are going to be gifting us with their offerings during this summit, and just let you all get to know them a little bit more, because I think the more that you get to know these amazing humans, even more impactful will their work be in your life. So, Erica, with all of that wonderful introduction, forgot, the image behind Erica is our image for Rooted, which is a beautiful piece of art created by Devorah Brinkerhoff, who is also going to be a guide, and she will be on the podcast this season. But Devorah basically took all of our expressions and thoughts about what rooted means and created this incredible work of art that's behind Erica. So now, with all that being said, Erica, I would love for people to get to know you a little bit. So let's talk about kind of what brought you to say yes to doing the summit. What was that voice that was like, oh, yeah, this isn't just about posting for each other. Let's do a summit. How did you get there? And then we'll go into what this process has been.
Oh, man. That's such a good question, but thank you so much for having me, Chloe. It's such an honor. We met like over a year ago, and I feel like I have to say I've watched you like grow in your business, and it actually was really inspiring to me to see how passionate you were about your work. And so when we kind of joined together back in, it was like December, January, I was like, yeah, these people really are like living this soul aligned business. And that was kind of like what I wanted for my life, because I just recently left my full-time job. So I thank you for, living your truth and living in alignment with what your soul needs to do. It's so inspiring for me. And so I just feel like I just keep following my yes. Like, I'm like, yes, I want to be a part of this. Yes, I want to show up with these people. Yes, I want to like share my truth, which, has been my goal, and my journey. So, and this rooted picture just, I feel like it's like perfectly aligned with like kind of where we all are, and feeling so rooted in our business and our offerings and what we want to bring into the world and how we want other people to feel. Like, this feels alive to me. When I see Devorah's artwork, it just feels so vibrant and alive. And that's really what I want to feel. I want what I do feel and what I want others to feel. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So you're following your yes, which I think is huge. And I want to get into the work that you do and what your offering is within the summit. But before we get into the what the work that you do, I want to hear more a little bit about kind of the why and the how. So when you said, I really have been coming from this place of following my yes, I imagine that there was probably a time in your life where that wasn't the case. And that there's probably an interesting story about that transition out of not being in your yes to fully being in your yes. So can you talk to me a little bit about what that was for you?
Yeah, I was definitely a people pleaser. Following the rules, I was on this path that's kind of like the safe path laid out for me, and I just felt so much constriction, and I just couldn't feel like I could be myself in that system. And really, a lot of my decisions were made out of fear, or, like I should do something, or, it wasn't really a true yes. Like I should go to that thing to the party. I should go to this event. I should, you know, and it wasn't really like authentically what my body, my soul wanted. And so I kind of came, it was very involuntarily, I came to this point. I actually finally broke my foot um, in November 2021. And I was forced to have to sit down and look at my whole life. And like every time I wasn't honoring myself. And that was, I didn't walk for months. And so I didn't start walking until the end of April. And it was an extremely painful journey, but I was, I couldn't go anywhere because I was in so much pain. So I was sitting there meditating, listening to like, really helpful podcasts and people that, were living the life that I wanted to live. And so slowly I just kept following my yes. There was a women's retreat, followed my yes. I got on a plane on crutches and I could barely walk. And I just was like, this is yes. So I'm going to go to Scottsdale. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, you haven't left your house in months. So yeah, that's exactly true. And so it's kind of opened up this journey, finding the right mentors, finding myself in this journey. And then really that's how I kind of found Theta Healing, as like one yes led to another yes, led to another yes. And so that's how I ended up here today.
I I don't know if I knew the part about you breaking your foot before this. If I did, it didn't register the way that it's registering now. And the way that it's coming coming through for me is because my work is all around the body and what messages are coming through the body. So you may have heard that when a bone breaks, when it grows back stronger than the original bone. And that is very true. The bone is actually, yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's one thing. Bones grow back stronger. And then the second thing is that most people don't realize this, but your blood cells are actually made in your bones.
Okay.
So we think about bones as being like the skeleton and sort of this death thing, like, oh, that's just the bones. But it's actually where you create your blood. It's where you create your life. And so it's interesting to me that you broke your foot. And then as this bone is growing back stronger and there's this new blood, this new life that's being created in this new bone, that it literally revealed itself in your external life. This new life came out. I mean, that's just so cool. Like, the body is so cool. I get geeked out on this stuff. Like, I get really turned on about this because it's so cool. Like, you weren't even thinking, oh yeah, I broke my foot and then I had to think about things and then I move forward. And I'm like, yeah, but your foot was like growing back stronger and new blood, and of course your whole life changed. The duh.
I love that.
So, I am curious. Was it your right foot or your left foot?
It was my left foot.
Interesting. So we've talked about this before, that the right side of the body is the masculine and the left side is the feminine. And so if we are seeing a pattern of injuries happen on one side of the body or the other, or if it's just one specific injury and it's on the side, there's something in the energetics of that side of the body that's wanting to be looked at. And it could be too much energy is being put there, or not enough energy is being put there. And knowing the little bit that I know about your life before all of this and what it's turned into now, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to be putting words in your mouth. It seems to me that the experience for you was living in a life of shoulds. I should do this, I should do this. And for better or for worse, the way that our society has been run for a long time is based on the should of what the masculine does, right? You should do. You should achieve. You should direction.
Yep.
And it seems like when this all happened, there was this portal that you walked through of like, not there's anything inherently wrong or bad about that side. We all have that side of us. But there's this part of you that's like, hey, like I'm here too. The left side of the body's here. Can we receive? Can we play? Can we like intuit? I'm curious if that was in fact your experience, and were you aware of it at the time, or did that awareness come later?
That's such a good question. And my left side of the body had been talking to me for a long time. So as you're saying that, it all makes sense to me. Like I was in a car accident when I was 16, and the whole left side of my body had a different sensation than my right. My right was normal, and my left was like weird and tingly and felt pain differently. So yeah, I think you're spot on, because looking back at it, I can definitely see where I was completely out of alignment on that feminine side. I was like, push. And even now, like when I try to push and do the shoulds, I'm like, oh yeah, my body's like hard no. It tells me. So no, that's spot on. That's so true for me. And for a
And
long time.
did it take some time of actually starting to play with the feminine for the awareness to come through of like, oh, this is what that was?
Yeah, because that retreat that I said yes to in May after I broke my foot in November, that was a women's retreat. And so for me to like say yes to a women's retreat, I don't think I ever would have done that before. And so being in this container of all these women, it was very uncomfortable for me. And being in like this central space, like letting this come through was really foreign to me. So, something that was outside of my box, and it definitely opened this up for me. So, and then that was like when the rapid healing started, was after that happened. So, yeah.
I I'm not going to ask you to share the story around how you first saw Theta Healing work, because you share that in the summit, and I think it's so powerful, and I want people to come to the summit and experience that. And I would love for people to start to get like a little taste of what Theta Healing is, how you found it, and maybe take us through. So, okay, you've come out of this women's retreat, and your yes is like, I would imagine, really starting to be loud. So from there, what happens?
Yeah, so it kind of was this opening of like saying yes to everything, and really kind of like looking at my life and being like, why am I playing small in all these parts of my life? And I was kind of honestly playing with like, well, why can't I have the life that I want? Like, why can't I have a home? Why can't I have, these just amazing experiences. And so it was unwinding all these beliefs that I had, and I could see the patterns of like people would say things like, oh, it's too expensive to buy a home here. And I'd be like, oh, wait, is that true for me? Do I need to believe that? And so for me, I just saw all these things crumbling like, oh, I don't need to keep that. I don't need to believe that anymore. It was kind of like just this domino effect of like, oh, I can change everything in my life. And so that kind of did lead to theta healing, because that's part of theta healing, is releasing those blocks, seeing those patterns, completing the lessons, bringing in the attributes of the virtues to like help you move forward and complete that lesson, and then being able to change your life. So I was working through that just on my own. And then when I found theta healing, I was like, oh, something in me was like, yes. I didn't even know really what it was. I just did a session and I was like, yes, whatever this is, I'm learning it. And then through learning it, I practiced it and it changed everything. Like, and now I feel so empowered that anytime I see something in my life that I'm like, oh, I don't think I want it to be that way. I can change it and I can work with this energy and make it move and change. And I'm like, okay, well, I can adjust this, I can adjust that, you know, it, it's so powerful. So this is what I do in my daily life now. And it just like expedited the process of like how I can change my life.
So what is theta healing?
So theta healing is it works with the theta brainwave state. And so I've trained to be in that theta brainwave state, and I can bring the client up to that state, which you've experienced and you can experience in that little mini session in Rooted. And once we're in that theta brainwave state, that's where I can access like your subconscious and work through everything. Like, so if someone has something specific they want to work on, I can be like, okay, where did it first begin? And we can work through it and then complete everything for that person and then show them moving forward in their life. And so it's so powerful, like what it could do. We can work with ancestral stuff. We can work with your DNA. We can, it's the sky's the limit. The creator is, so powerful and created all of us. So there's really no limits on what you could do other than like divine timing, which I do feel like this right here feels like divine timing. Rooted feels like divine timing to me. So I'm very grateful to be here and that I said yes to being here. What I was going to say something about it's an intuitive thing for me. And I think once someone experiences it, like when you experience it in the session, I feel like a lot of people will have this feeling like, oh, I've experienced this before, either this lifetime or another lifetime. And you can feel the power in it. I don't know if you want to share your experience with it.
Yeah.
That first time sounded really amazing for you.
It was. So a little bit about Rooted. We pre-recorded all of our sessions, all of the guides together, and then that is going to be available for you all who register for the summit by the 22nd. You get access to all of it forever, for life. And so when we were recording Erica's session, I remember feeling like I wasn't asleep. Like I didn't fall asleep, but I definitely was. There were parts of it where I was not consciously aware of what you were saying in the guiding of it. I knew something was happening, but that's not where I was. And afterwards, we were talking, and I asked, am I still getting the benefits of the theta healing if I am in my own experience versus really listening to what you're saying? And is it kind of like osmosis? And the answer was kind of yes. Yes, and then I said, I felt so calm and at peace afterwards. And I have a lot of experience with meditating and different forms. I go sort of cyclically and seasonally with meditation. Sometimes it is like I'm sitting down for 20 minutes and I'm meditating on this specific thing. Sometimes I'm listening to a guided meditation. Sometimes my walking is a meditation. Like it doesn't have to be the same thing every time. And I mentioned to you that there was a point last year where I was listening almost every day to a meditation from, oh my goodness, I'm going to forget him again. Oh, yes, there we go. Joe Dispenza. Thank you. And I was listening to that for like 6 months in a row. And then one day I just kind of let it go. And I remember I said out loud, when it's time for me to start meditating consistently with something again, I'll know. Like, it will just come and I'll know. And we did your session. And I said, oh, this is going to be my new, I'm so glad I have this recording forever, because this is going to be my new daily meditation for however long it's going to be. And I'm really grateful for that. For me, it felt like these types, for me in the past, these types of modalities that are meditation-based, theta brainwave based, where you're coming into this state, have often felt it, to my nervous system, very masculine in nature. And again, nothing wrong with that, but they're very like, okay, we are going here, and now you see this, and then you see this, and then you're going to think about this, and da da da. And it's not that you aren't guiding us to a place in the theta meditation and the theta healing, but that it's, I don't even have the exact words for it, but it's different. It's not this directional leading. It's more of an invitation and a pondering the possibility of like, as opposed to let's go here. And I'm curious if you had done other types of theta brain work, meditation work before you found theta healing, and if my experience resonates in some way to how you've experienced other types of modalities.
Yeah, I have a similar experience. And when I had initially broken my foot, I did like I don't know, it was like a 30-day challenge of meditating every day, and it felt very structured, and it felt very masculine, like you're saying. So that's kind of why I really wanted in this session for people to just be and feel. And I purposely bring people down to the earth to feel that rootedness so that they can just experience the energy of the earth, and then take them to creation energy and let everyone just sit in that energy and just be, without an agenda. Like, we don't have to like be anything or see anything or feel anything. We can just feel that in ourselves. And you're right, it's such a good reflection. Like, I didn't realize how kind of more feminine flow that was than what I previously done, and it feels so much better to me. I feel like myself when I do this work. So yeah, that is a beautiful reflection for me. And yeah, now I want to go back and re-listen to it.
I highly encourage you to, because it's great. So let's get into some sort of nitty-gritty, practical, how do we really work with this in our life, right? So is this the type of modality where I really want to have a set intentional time, maybe to work with you one-on-one, or to listen to the recording from the Rooted Summit, and give myself the space to be in process? Or is this something that, let's say it hasn't happened that much since I moved to South Carolina, but let's say I go visit my family in New Jersey and I'm driving through New York to get to a doctor's appointment, and I'm pissed off about someone cutting me off or rush hour traffic or whatever. Is this a modality that I can be like, okay, this is a moment I can tap into, even though I'm driving, I can tap into my theta brain state and work with some of the things that I've started to learn from Erica? Is it both, or is it like, no, 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 we want this to be really intentional, sacred space?
I think as you're learning and working with this energy, like say you're actually listening to this meditation every day, you can notice in those moments of your life that we actually don't want to stop you from feeling angry, because you should let it all out, like whatever you need to feel. Like that's all, everything's allowed here. Um, and you know how to shift your energy and choose peace, consciously choose what you're going to move forward with. So that's kind of the philosophy that I want to bring to this is, you know, if there's something that immediately comes up in your life, and maybe that situation that you're having in traffic is actually triggering something that's a pattern that you're like, oh, this is like my dad has this, and then his dad, and then, you know, there's this pattern of like this, whatever it is, this anger or whatnot. And we could schedule a session and be like, okay, well, we can work through this. And this doesn't have to be your pattern forever. We can actually end it for you, which will also be available for them because you've completed the lesson for your family. And we can download what you want to feel like moving forward. So you're like very empowered to change what you want in your life, to not stay in those same cycles over and over again. And really, like, you're healing yourself, you're healing your family at the same time.
So I have a feeling that most people listening to this podcast are like following all along, like, yep, 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 check, 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 got it. Tends to be my audience. However, we get new people all the time. So for people who are not super familiar with this world and this work, they might hear about this modality and be like, oh, that's amazing. So this pattern I have of dating people completely mismatched for me, I'll have one session with Erica and then that's it. Like, I won't do that anymore, right? Like, I'm done, I'm healed. So talk to me about the process of this. Is it a one and done, or is it a journey?
It definitely can be. Like, there's things that I've healed for myself in one session. There's things that, like, I had a event happen in my life very young that's like impacted my whole life. But it's like healing this part of my life and this part of my life and this part of my life. And it just depends on what you're healing. But oftentimes it really can be one session or two sessions. It's really all up to like what we're dealing with and what we're moving through. But I would say that you would see a change in your life pretty instantaneously. And that's what we want, is to bring in those qualities so that you can understand that things can change and that you know that you're moving forward in a different way. So we wouldn't leave the session being like, good luck with that. Like, like what else do you need to feel something different, to make those changes in your life? So, you know, sometimes it's step by step, but sometimes it's really just like, oh, it was ready. It was actually ready. It was coming up because it was ready to leave. Like, it was ready to be done. And that's kind of what I've noticed in my own life. I'm like, why is this still happening? And then I'm like, oh, I just can go sit down for a session, you know, work through this and see like this is coming up for a reason. So it seems annoying in the moment, but it's really just an invitation to move through it and let that energy kind of transmute itself. So
Yeah. One thing that came through as you were speaking that I want to touch on for a moment is I think a lot of us have probably had an experience where we have a powerful session with someone and we have a breakthrough and it's like, oh, that is gone. That's done. Moving forward in my life now. And then 6 weeks go by, 6 months go by, 6 years go by. and we're at a different point in the evolution spiral. And now at this point in the spiral, that same thing that I was fucking done with 6 years ago is back, and we're invited to look at it from this different vantage point in the spiral. What's coming through for me is that what's really amazing about all of the people that we brought together for Rooted is that each one of us brings a supportive practice to this life of being rooted, right? So if you have a breakthrough in your session with Erica, that is amazing, wonderful, we want that. And there's 4 other people that you're going to get to work with who are going to give you tools and experiences that you can bring in at any moment to support the change that happened with Erica. So that if it's not 6 years, if it's 6 weeks or 6 months, you have something come up and you're like, okay, I know I can get into my theta brainwave state, but maybe there's something else that I need to do first, or maybe there's something else to strengthen whatever comes through, and it's a tea ceremony, or it's somatic work, or it's creative work. There's something that you can do physically that we're giving you access to in the Rooted Summit that works with what is happening on an energetic level in the sessions like what Erica is providing. So I wanted to touch on that because I think it's really kind of amazing that has happened.
And I think that was kind of the beauty of it, was that we could see how all of our pieces kind of like interwove into like this tapestry of like kind of transforming your life, really feeling more rooted and stable because you're just ready to plant those roots, that you feel safe and ready to move through whatever is coming up. So yeah. I agree. Like I'm so excited. I'm so excited for everyone to see everyone's sessions, because it was so much fun being there, watching everyone film, that like I even want to go back and watch and, do these exercises. I think they're really powerful. So I just encourage anyone, if you see like one episode, just keep going, because everything's so unique and individualized to everyone's journey that, you're going to be, even if it's not even in the same day, you're just, these exercises can be done over and over to move through energy and learn about ourselves deeper.
Yeah, we were very, it took us a while actually to come up with the name of the summit. It took us several months of like talking through what our offers really were, like what we said they were, and then what they really were, and what the energy of us all coming together was. And I remember when Rooted came through, we were having this conversation around the idea of balance and work-life balance, masculine, feminine balance, like all of these things. And I remember saying, I don't know if balance is actually real. Like, I don't know if it's the thing that we should be striving towards. Because as soon as you find balance, life continues to happen and something's going to throw you out of balance again. So then if you're always looking for balance, you're just always on this seeking journey of like, how do I find balance? But this just like, you're never going to find balance. But I think what you can find is rootedness, is centered connection within yourself. And the idea that we were talking about as a group, that when you are rooted, when a tree is rooted, it gives it the ability to stretch out even bigger, to grow even higher. And so there's this, for me, what really came through as we were putting the summit together is that all of these practices that we're offering are ways to both strengthen the roots and lighten the rest of us so that we can like stretch out and twist and turn and all of the things. And that's just so cool. Like it's a really cool thing. And one last thing that I wanted to touch on just with the name Rooted. I don't know if you've seen this, I definitely have. There is something going on in the collective around this theme, because other practitioners that I know that had no idea what we were doing, like aren't connected with the LUC or anything, have been doing, like my friend Lindsay, who's her former business was bread and butter, and she's been on the show multiple times. She just went through a whole rebranding, and her business is now called Yabisi, which is the Taino, the Puerto Rican indigenous term for tree. And so all of her stuff is about being rooted and expanding and going back to the tree. And another person that I'm friends with who's a practitioner is also talking about roots and the roots of things. And all of this was coming out at the same time over these past 6 months from completely different people who had no connection to what we were all working on. And I think that's so cool. Like, it's very clear that, as you said, there is something in this, there's something divine about this moment. Like, I really feel that. And I can say personally that getting to put my kind of producer hat back on for the summit, and being able to support everybody in that role has re-lit me up for everything else in my life, like the podcast and all of the other things that I do. And I'm curious if you have found more inspiration, more expansion in other areas of your life as we've been going through the process of putting the summit together.
Oh, definitely. As we've been going through this whole journey, like it was, I mean, I was going through so much in my life that I was always so excited to join in on the group and really connect with people that really lived walked the talk, I guess. And so for me, like, it was so inspiring to sit there and talk about what we were creating together and being in that energy of creation, and like really just we really did form a tree. Like, we really did grow something. So when I saw this art, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is, representation of like us all coming together and creating this whole summit. So for me, I was letting go of, a whole life, really. Like my career of a lot of over, I don't know, 15 years or something. I let all that go and really stepped into this life of like, oh, I can be an entrepreneur. Like, I want to fully be in this and run my business, and so it's really inspiring to me and I actually do really feel like I am more rooted because of the summit. Like, I feel stronger, and I feel like I have these people around me that care about me and care about this whole collective and this community that we're building. So yeah, it's very representational of my life. So
I love that.
really appreciate it. And I do really feel like it was divine. Like, I couldn't have done, I feel like I just said yes and yes and yes. And like, yes, I want to do this. And it just became something I couldn't even have dreamt of. You know what I mean? It's like beyond me. Like, yeah.
I love it. I can sometimes get into a place, I don't know if you can relate to this, where I get carried away by the woo, the woo-woo, and I start seeing it in everything. Like you were saying, we all came together to do this summit called Rooted, and quite literally every single one of us who's guiding the summit went through some sort of portal initiation in the past 6 months where our lives have completely changed. Each person who's presenting. So to see like, oh, the work is happening in me and through me, and now it's becoming this other thing that's also, it's so cool, and I could sit and just notice the connections and the patterns all day and be very happy.
Even just woo, it's like tangible. Like we all see it showing up in our life. Like it is real. It's not um it's so tangible.
100%. I think that's kind of where I want to leave us today, is that even though the session that you offer is very much energetic and very much in the vibratory realms, it is also incredibly tangible in terms of what you can feel unlock in your body and in your soul. And that might sound impossible for that to be a tangible thing, but it truly is. And I don't want anyone in the audience to take my word for it. I really encourage you all to sign up for the Rooted Summit. It's totally free, and experience it yourself. I can and will talk about all of you all day. And I'm so grateful that I have this ability, this opportunity for everybody to be able to be highlighted on the podcast. And it is in no way representational of how profound each session really is and how tangible each session really is, especially yours. So I wanted to say thank you personally for saying yes and for being in your yes, because I have benefited myself immeasurably from the gift that you offer. And I'm so excited to see how starting to be, how do I want to say this? Starting to allow yourself to be seen, you, Erica Long, starting to allow yourself to be seen is going to change the world. It really is. And the world can be as small as your family, and it can be as big as the world, because it really is that impactful. When you change one person, you really change the dynamics and the energetics of how we all relate on this earth. So thank you for stepping into your yes and creating a really powerful change.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being so supportive in this process and being such an inspiration with your own business and how you show up in your life. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I will definitely have all of the ways to contact you in the show notes, but in case people are like wanting to hear instead of look down in the show notes, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, purepotentialenergetics.com, or it's my Instagram handle, Pure Potential Energetics on Instagram.
Awesome. Great. And be sure to sign up for the Rooted Summit. I should mention this will also be in the show notes, but if you're like, no, I don't want to look at the show notes, just tell me how to sign up. Go to www.rootedsummit.love. Amazing website, rootedsummit.love, and you can sign up for free by June 22nd. You'll get access to all of us, as well as to our private Slack community that we're going to have for 90 days, where we can really get intimate with each other and ask questions and really dig into some of the work that we're doing. So if you want more time with Erica, that's a great way to start.
Queridas, we made it to one of my favorite parts of each episode, the moment of flow. I love poetry, I love words and rhythm, and how when you mix the two, you get into a beautiful state of flow. And so I want to leave you with that at the end of each episode. So here it is, your moment of flow.
Transmission unblocked. Just flow, pen to paper. Trust that it's there. The connection, the spark, the burning in you. Give it the chance. It can't help but be expressed through you. So much, too much for this form for right now. And The openness to flow is there in you. The protection is in you too. The prayer, the honoring of your dead, it's all right there. Pero no puedes verlo because you turn away instead of look in through the looking glass.